Amy Posner here, and I want to talk to you today about a topic I've talked about in the past, but not for a while, and that is scope creep and revisions. So with your copywriting clients, you've given them a certain proposal, right? Or whatever you call it, scope proposal, statement of work that you've both agreed on. Okay, so there's a certain price and there are certain deliverables. There's usually a timeline involved, and that's what you're agreeing on. And then, of course, in your contract, you will state whether you're offering revisions, how many, how that works, etc., all those good things. What happens then when you turn in copy that a client doesn't like? Or what happens in the situation that one of my coaching clients had this week where the client told her, oh yeah, I love the copy's great. And then she got in touch with her almost 2 months later to say, I haven't pushed the copy live yet, and I'm really not comfortable with it. I'm just not, And so the client had signed off on the copy. But apparently she'd been tinkering with it this whole time, right? She's been thinking about it. She's been rewriting it. It turned out she'd asked other people's opinions on it. And she came back and said to this person, I'm not thrilled with the copy and I want to launch it. Now, this is an ongoing client, so the copywriter's kind of in a tough position, right? It's not someone she can just say, well, that wasn't the agreement, see you bye. Frankly, I don't think that's what you should ever say, no matter the situation. But it was a situation where she couldn't say that. She couldn't just part ways. There was more work to do. They had agreed on that more work. And she was really stuck because what do you do? Here's the thing. I think this is a really straightforward situation. And you don't know that when the client comes back to you and says they're not happy, they're not necessarily scope creeping you, right? They're not saying, hey, you need to fix this. They may be saying, would you fix this? And can I pay you to fix this? And that's a very, very different ask. And so don't jump to the conclusion that they're creeping on you, right? That they're asking you to just do this work for no compensation. And you should just assume that that's what they know, that that's what they think. That they think, of course, they're going to pay you for this work. It's your time. The project was completed, 6, 7, 8 weeks ago. In this situation, the headline was actually perfectly good. And the copywriter had provided her with multiple headline choices. And so it's not like she hadn't done her work and she hadn't done her work thoroughly. And so I think the thing to do in those situations is to just, first of all, reassure the client. And my advice to her was, the client's probably terrified to push this thing out into the world. It could be for a whole variety of reasons, like, will it make money? How will I look? Will I look good? Will I look bad? Will this be accepted? Will it work? And it's probably the culmination of something she's been thinking about for a long time. And so putting it out there, it's risky, it's scary. And so I said, reassure her a little bit, reassure her why she chose the previous copy, and then tell her, the only way to know is test. And here's the thing, and this is hard to say to clients, and I say it all the time. It's like, client dear. It's not about what you like. It's not about what I like. It's not even about what your client likes. As far as like looking at the copy and saying, oh, I like this. That doesn't matter. Liking doesn't matter. This is not a subjective thing. What matters is if it works. And I've personally been involved in situations where the business owner hated the copy, really didn't like the copy, was afraid it didn't represent them properly, all kinds of concerns. And then I convinced them to test it, and they put it out there, and the results they got were mind-blowing, and they're like, okay, well, I don't love it, but apparently it works, and so we're going to keep it, it's good. And so part of your job as a copywriter is to defend the copy that you write. If you've chosen a certain headline, if you've chosen a certain formula, if you've chosen a certain big idea, there's a reason. I write long-form copy a lot, so I often present my copy with a Loom video. You can present copy live, but if you're presenting, 17, 18, 19, 20 pages of copy, it's a lot for someone to absorb live and comment on, so I like to make a Loom, let them look over it, and then we meet and talk about it. But sometimes those meetings, and I will do this in the Loom as well, I'll, quote, defend the copy a little bit or defend my decisions. Really, it's explaining, what's happening here. Why have we done this? Why have we made these choices? That helps your client to understand, what they're looking at. Then I'll review it with them. And then I offer a round of edits and corrections. Don't ask me to correct something or change something because you don't like it. Ask me to change something because, it's not a correct way to represent you. You don't feel it's appropriate or you don't feel comfortable with it, or it's inaccurate. That I want to know about. I don't as much want to know about what you like and what you don't like, because that may influence me and it really shouldn't. That's pretty clear and straightforward. And so now you do your revisions and you make sure that you get the person to sign off on it. Now when they come back, or if they come back, that's a really typical gig, and it's what you want them to do. You want them to come back so you can optimize the copy that you wrote, but you're going to do it for a fee because it's a separate project. As is rewriting copy once the copy project is over. So if someone wants to do that, reassure your client, tell her why you made the decisions you did, and take it from there. And if the client is still insisting that it won't work, you can say, okay, well, like, what do you see here? What isn't working? What do you think would work? Find out what it is they're trying to get at, because it may be impossible. If it's not, you can take it on as a project. I'd be happy to do it. I can write up a brief quote. I don't know that we need a whole statement of work here, but I'll just write up briefly what it is and what the fee for service will be, and I'll shoot that over. And I could get started as soon as, let me look at my calendar. And that's it. So it's the presumption that this is a paid project, of course, because that's how it works. You'd be surprised, but you can go a long way with that presumption. And you're also making the presumption when you think, perhaps, that the client wants you to do it for free, because they don't always. I mean, what they're saying is, hey, I want this fixed. They're not saying, hey, I want it fixed for free. So that's something to be aware of. And then in terms of revisions, it really behooves you to be clear about the entire process from the start of the process. And I even talk about this process in the sales call. I'll actually say, because people will ask me often, like, what's your process like? Or I'll tell them, this is what my process is like. This is what you can expect when you're working with me. And so I'll tell them, when it comes to revisions, here's what I'm going to need from you. It's really important that revisions get turned around fairly quickly, because copy does best when it has momentum. If it takes a week or two for you to return revisions, my head's not in the game anymore. I got to work to get my head back in the game. I got to wrap my mind around it. And yeah, that's not convenient for me, but it's not great for you either, because you don't get the momentum of me just really focusing intensely on your project. But if, within that 2 or 3 day turnaround time, I'm still right there and I'm still with you. So they start to get that by them complying, they're going to get better work from me. So that makes it a little easier for them. And then I'll reiterate, when I send over the Loom video, for example, inside the Loom and inside the email, I'll tell them, here's the best way to mark this up. I don't really want to hear about what you like. Here's what is helpful to hear. Today's Tuesday. If you can get these back to me by end of business Thursday or by midday, my time zone, by Friday, that would be perfect. Let me know if that, for some reason, that's not doable. And so just keeping people to a tight revision schedule, because what can happen also if things drag too long, you lose sort of the thread of the project. And if a client wants revisions, after they've signed off on the project and the project is complete, it's a separate project. And it's really that simple. That's not to say you can't do the occasional thing, and I will, especially if it's on a big project that's well paid. If someone's like, well, I'm a little awkward on the guarantee or this part of the offer or something, I might mess around with it. It depends who the client is, what their attitude is, how much I've been paid for the project. I mean, there's a lot of factors that go into making those decisions that, for me, are really unique to the project. So, don't be afraid to bend your rules a little bit. You don't need to be like super rigid. Well, that's a rule. I can't do that. But also be really careful about not breaking your own rules that impact you negatively. In other words, you're like, oh, of course, I will do that. I will take that on. And you're spending more of your time because you're trying to ingratiate or to be liked. Being a business isn't about being liked. It's about doing great work, getting results, and getting paid handsomely for your work. My tried and true go-to is, if you don't know, ask. It's always legitimate to ask questions. I know in the early stages of your business, you feel like if you ask questions, you look maybe naive or unknowledgeable. And then later on, you realize when you ask questions, you look really smart and like an expert. And so ask. Just ask. Get in conversation. These are people, they're just, regular people running a business just like you are. Don't be intimidated by them, and don't feel that they are the adversary. Thanks for watching. Hope this was helpful, and if you have any comments or questions, put them below. I answer personally, and if you would like to be notified when these videos drop, a new one comes out each week, click the bell, wherever it is, follow the bell, and you will be notified. All right, thanks for watching. Bye for now.